We want you to look closely here at these pictures and the videos that we are going to show you. A masked, armed person seen approaching Nancy Guthrie's home, covering up her doorbell camera. The person started putting their hand, which was covered by a glove, you can see it here, right over the camera, right? Then seconds later, they are seen taking a nearby shrub and using that, this is the shrub here, to further conceal their identity and to cover that camera. That person also holding what appears to be a flashlight in their mouth. Savannah Guthrie reacting with a simple message about her mother. We believe she is alive. Bring her home. The eerie pictures and videos are the first substantial piece of public evidence in this case. And throughout the afternoon, our Brian Enton seeing search and rescue crews going door to door in Tucson, Arizona. That's where we begin tonight with our team coverage. Retired FBI agents Tracy Walder and Greg McCrary on what the feds are likely doing now. Kelly Meyer over at the White House with how they reacted to all this today. But we begin once again with our Brian Enton live in Tucson. And Brian, so many new questions tonight with the revelation of this video and these pictures. And you're reporting that you were seeing law enforcement there sort of going door to door in the area.
Yeah, a couple of big things happening right now, Blake. I'll get to what's happening at Annie's in a second, but first of all, the new photos. We didn't see this coming because we were told, remember, the sheriff said that they were not able to access the video from the Google Nest cameras because there was no subscription. And then the FBI gets involved, and through back-end channels, they are able to obtain the video and the pictures, which are just terrifying. Remember when we got the blood video up near the door, Blake? We noticed, or I noticed, that there was a pile of like shrubs right there, like weeds that had been pulled. Well, it makes sense. That is what this person was trying to use to first try to cover the camera before ultimately what we believe when he ripped the camera off. He's covered from head to toe, but you look at the eyebrows, they're pretty distinctive. You can see the mouth, you can see what appears to be possibly facial hair. The backpack is somewhat distinctive, and hopefully someone will recognize something about this man. And the gloves, I want to show you this. A few former FBI agents who I've spoken to said they are 99% sure those are night trial gloves, which look like this. These are not medical grade gloves. These are not gloves that law enforcement would use, but they are gloves that I'm told mechanics use, hairdressers use, those kinds of jobs, and they're quite easy to get, and it looks like they may have been put on top of another glove that he's wearing in the photos. Okay, now I want to quickly tell you about what's happening at Annie Guthrie's house, Blake. That's about 10 minutes from where I am. Just within the last couple of hours, FBI teams and also deputies have swarmed that area, and they are searching the brush around Annie Guthrie's home and also around neighbors' houses. I just got off the phone with my producer who's over there, and she said that they are knocking on doors and they are asking for consent to search the properties around, and these again are properties all around Annie Guthrie's house. Annie Guthrie, of course, is Savannah's sister, Nancy's other daughter. Blake?
Brian Enton live for us there in Tucson, Arizona. I want to get to Kelly Meyer in a second, but let's bring in Tracy Walder and Greg McCrary first. Both of them are retired FBI agents. Tracy and Greg, thank you. And Kelly, I'll get to you in a second. I want to start there, though. What does it suggest to you, Tracy, on Brian's reporting that they are now in that area and sort of going through the brush, Tracy?
Well, thank you for having me, Blake. Obviously, it suggests to me that there is perhaps something of interest in the area. Now, that I don't think that that is from the videos that we have seen. I think it may be from witness interviews. It could maybe from digital evidence that is pointing them into that direction where they are searching that brush. I am starting to think now that perhaps this person didn't get very far, because if you think about it, you're leaving with a 150, 160-pound person who is relatively immobile. Where exactly are you going to go? And so I think, I don't necessarily think she's there in those bushes, but I do think that there could be some kind of evidence or tip there that they've been tipped off to.
Greg, you were in the behavioral specialist unit over at the FBI. Given the video that you just saw and the way that person was moving and how they were reacting at the time, Anything that you picked up on that you think the FBI picked up on this evening as well?
Yes, I think there are a couple of issues that especially the public needs to be aware of and could be helpful with this. One thing I would say is that this individual or individuals, whoever has done this, their normal routine has been disrupted since the abduction. You know, we can go through all the clothing and all that, that's fine. But another thing that to be considering is the fact that this person maybe now isn't going to work as usual, isn't at the usual coffee shop. They've been totally consumed with this abduction since they started it, and it's just taken over their life. So their normal everyday routine has been disrupted.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will.
Now from Andrew McCabe, he's a former FBI deputy director. Andrew, what is your reaction to this new evidence?
So nice to meet you. CBS and Fox affiliate. Nice to meet you. That's great. I'm with NBC LA. Yeah. Okay, they're coming to us. What do you have? Are they there? There's no one there. Just say that they're around here. They just went inside this home. Come up there. You can see a little bit of them. Yeah. And Colleen and Michael, we again are about a block or two from the home of Annie Guthrie, where she lives with her husband. We were there this past weekend when FBI agents descended on that property. The home was empty. The FBI told NBC News that all of these searches in the homes of the Guthries, Nancy and daughter Annie, they live about 4 miles apart, were done.
The FBI has just released an actual video, and we're looking at it now. Ed and Jake, are you able to see what he's doing?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. So FBI Director Kash Patel just 2 minutes ago released new images. One of them is just another, two of them are images, still images of this assailant walking up to Nancy Guthrie's front door. But then the videos, one of them has him holding his glove over the Nest camera and then walking backward and getting a tool or a rock.
No, it's not a tool.
What is he getting?
It looks like he goes back. He goes back out from the porch and grabs some shrubbery off the ground or grass.
Oh, he's
or
grabbing
something.
shrubbery. Okay.
And it looks like he was trying to cover the.
Oh, he's
ring
trying
cam.
to block the Nest camera. Okay,
so it looks
I
like
see.
he's trying to.
And that's the second image, the second video, I should say, of him taking this shrubbery, these plants from the yard and trying to block the camera.
And so at some point he gives up on that and then just decides
to take the camera altogether. But while he was doing that, the camera was indeed recording, and because of the work the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff, working with the private sector, working presumably with the folks behind these Nest cameras, they were able to get this video. And we're almost 10 days into this missing persons case, but it is pretty impressive information that they were able to get.
I do wonder, Jake, as I'm watching this, you know, we're all trying to figure out, is this someone who planned this deliberately? How long was this planned for? But this suggests to me, and people smarter than me can opine, but you would think you'd know that there was a camera there. Almost like he seems unprepared to cover it up. Like he seems to me like if you knew the camera was there, you would have brought something to cover it up, or you would have just knocked it off.
Or gone right to it. It does suggest, and you and I are not sleuths, but just as humans watching this, it does suggest a lack of familiarity with the security in the front porch.
But then the way he's dressed and covered up and clearly prepared, I mean, the gloves, I mean, there's not an ounce of skin. Clearly someone who's probably thinking, I don't need to drop any kind of DNA around this scene whatsoever.
Yeah,
so
although, as Brianna points out, if you zoom in on the close-up of the mouth in his face mask, it does seem as though there could be a mustache there. It's unclear. But let's bring in Josh Campbell, our colleague who used to work for the FBI. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but these images seem potentially very valuable. They are much more clear on this suspect than images we've seen related to the United Healthcare executive killing or the Charlie Kirk assassination. And both of those resulted in alleged murderers being captured. These seem even better in terms of the quality and in terms of what's revealed in the images.
Absolutely, and this shows you the advancement in this camera technology that's now available to just the average consumer at their homes. And as you mentioned, in other cases, we have seen where there's a suspect who maybe walks by a camera on a street, and then you get some type of image. Of course, what's so notable here is that the camera is at the front entryway of this home where this person is, appears to be attempting to be entering. So you get all these different views of this individual. The point that you gentlemen made just a second ago, I think, is spot on. When you see him coming up, I say him, the person, possible subject here, it looks like this person then goes and finds some type of foliage or plant or flower or something there, perhaps with the intention of trying to obscure that camera. We do know that the camera itself was eventually removed, and that is why authorities have been taking so much time in order to try to access this image. The FBI says that they were working with private sector companies. When information is deleted, that doesn't mean it just is completely gone. Oftentimes these computer analysts can go through and look in what's called the slack space of different hard drives, depending on where information might be backed up to, in order to try to resurrect some of that imagery. But you're spot on, Jake, that this is crystal clear. This is certainly much clearer than I think many of us were actually expecting. We do see some other things in this video as well. Obviously, the person appears to be trying to obscure not only their face, but you see the gloves that are on there. As I was mentioning earlier, again, there's a lot we don't know, but criminals these days are often smart in the sense that they don't want to leave it behind any type of DNA or fingerprints. And so that is the question here. Is that why this person is going through these lengths to try to shield this person's hair to ensure that no fingerprints actually make their way in? And then the last point I'll note, Jake, is that there's a lot that investigators would have been assessing before they even release this publicly, and that is every single item that you see on this individual, the backpack, the gloves, the clothing, all of that will be analyzed to try to determine where it came from, what companies sell that. Was there someone who recently was in a particular retail store buying that type of material? It takes a lot of work, it's tedious, but that's what would be underway.
And one last thing before I throw it back to you, Brianna and Boris, is that Savannah Guthrie, obviously whose beloved mother was taken by this man, by this miscreant, just posted the 4 images that were initially released by the FBI from the Nest camera. Presumably she'll also post the other ones. But she posted all 4 of them, and she wrote, "We believe she is still alive. Bring her home. Anyone with information, please contact 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI, or the Pima County Sheriff's Department, 520-3...
I wanted to get this in. The White House has issued a statement. It reads as follows. The president encourages any American across the country with any knowledge of this suspect to please call the FBI, who continue to assist state and local authorities. The prayers of the entire White House are with the Guthrie family. I mean, that's yet another reason why it's only a matter of time. You've got everybody from the FBI director to the president of the United States. I mean, NBC is going to blanket this guy's pictures. And, you know, that's their nightly news at least still has a decent size audience. I'm sure their Today Show audience is inflated this week for obvious reasons. But everybody, all the podcasts, like, this is not your average case. I can't remember a case with this much notoriety in recent history where we were all working together to find a perp. This guy's got a noose around his neck, Maureen. It's just a matter of time before we tighten it.
I love it. And he's backed into a corner and he's stressed beyond belief and he's freaking the hell out. And it's good. I'm glad. I hope he suffers.
Same. Don't you think, Chad? Like, this guy right now, there is this man. This man exists. This man has committed a terrible crime. The exact nature of it, we have yet to determine. But this guy knows this is happening just as the three of us do. And somewhere he's having a holy effing S moment thinking, what do I do now?
I bet he's really regretting having that crusty ass mustache and thing under his lip that was shown, because that's going to be a tall tale sign to give him away. Not too many people I know have those types of mustaches. And, you know, someone's going to be sitting at the dinner table tonight, looking across, being like, might be time to call 1-800-FBI.
Could you explain that to me? What do you, I can see he's got facial hair, but what exactly are you referring to?
So there's another image where you see kind of, I don't even know what's it called? The little small mustache kind of, or the little.
It's not exactly a goatee, right?
Yeah.
It's a patch? What do you call it, Steve?
It's
some sort of a patch.
I don't want to use the term that was used in college.
A soul patch? That's what we call it? Okay, my team is a lot hipper than we are. Soul patch, S-O-U-L.
Right. So, I mean...
We'll try to get the picture up while you're talking. But you can see it. You can see that there's hair, like that little round circle for the mouth in the ski mask does reveal hair above and below.
Yeah.
I basically had to take the video and I had to pause it. The video if you pause it about the 2-second mark and zoom in, you can see it. Yep, right there.
Oh, this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like more of the little patch.
That's a good catch.
Yeah. Yeah. Which means he has facial hair above and below. But I will say, not to bring it back to the brother-in-law, but he's got a beard and a mustache. And if you have just a beard, it can go all the way up there. Like, I don't know. We're only seeing a patch, but it doesn't mean it is only a patch. Right. Like, it could be full facial hair to the left and the right. Because the mouth is just a circle, just cutting out, just like you just see the bottom of the circle. What could be there? Again, I'm not blaming the brother-in-law. I'm just saying, because he's been mentioned so many times, we're obviously looking at his facial hair.
Right.
So now what? What, like, if I think back with Tyler Robinson, who's accused of killing Charlie Kirk, it didn't take long. He felt the heat. He saw that picture everywhere. Now, in his case, they also had his gun, which was very distinctive. But he panicked, and he confessed. His parents saw the sneakers. You mentioned the sneakers. They recognized those. They recognized he had the hat. His build, I mean, clearly you know your child's build. And this guy may have a mother out there who recognizes his build too, even if he's not married. And they contacted him to say, the dad said, send us a picture of your gun, because the dad was really suspicious. And he wound up confessing to his family, and then they brought in a family friend who brought him into the cops. So how do you see this going, Chad?
Probably about 4 different ways, I would say. I think Maureen would agree. You're either going to have this thing turn into a cold case. Worst case scenario, we don't want to happen. 2, he comes forward and says, the gig's up. Maybe I'll get a lesser sentence depending on what he's done with Nancy, whether she's alive or deceased. You know, I am getting charged, but maybe I won't see the death penalty if I come in and confess. Someone's going to recognize him and call in and report him. Or the last case scenario, well, I guess there's 2 more in a sense. Well, I guess last case scenario is he self-terminates himself.
Unalives himself, which I hope doesn't happen.
Yes.
No, don't be a coward.
I hope it doesn't happen
don't be
either,
a coward.
We're never going to know.
No. Do you want to hear what I hope happens?
Then we're never going to know.
Best case scenario?
Yeah.
He starts acting crazy. Everyone calls the police. 7 people he knows calls the police. 3 departments arrive, all with police dogs. They unleash the dogs, who rip him to shreds on film, and we can all watch it over and over.
Yeah, yes. Yes, you want to see him suffer, but not without finding Nancy first. I mean, like, there is still a scenario. You look at Savannah's statement today, just immediately, you know, after the pictures came out. We believe she's still alive. Like, we are cynical law enforcement and news people who don't have a direct relation to the victim. So I think it's a lot easier for us to be like, the odds are she's no longer alive. You know, we've covered enough of these stories or been involved in solving these cases that's where we went. And Savannah, if she weren't so close to it, would probably be where we are. But she has all cause to keep hope alive. And we are not, we don't know. We could be wrong. Nancy Guthrie could be alive. And this could be the guy who has her. We don't know why. We don't know why there wasn't a ransom, if assuming he wasn't connected to the Bitcoin scam, why there wasn't a ransom, why there's been no demands. There's been nothing whatsoever. It hasn't even been like from a psycho. I feel like from a psycho, we would have gotten Savannah, marry me, or like, I'm going to get somebody else next unless I get Savannah to do the following things. Like, the psycho can't really hold it together for 10 days, stay underground, make no demands. You know, that's just feeling less likely to me. Murder for hire
and care for her.
That could be good because somebody's going to talk. Murder for hire requires a conspiracy with multiple people, and someone could panic right about now, given how the heat just got turned up, and talk. What were you saying, Maureen?
I was just saying that, is this the type of person that's going to feed and care for an elderly person who's wounded? I mean,
yeah,
those two don't seem to coexist to me. But I understand her believing in miracles. I would be on my knees, storming the heavens, praying for a miracle in a situation like this. And I've prayed a lot for Savannah's mom.
Yeah, same. We talked earlier this week with Jim about the kidnapping of the Exxon president. He was president of the company. I actually learned more about that yesterday. It was 1992, and the guy was like a real regular Joe. He didn't want a guard. He didn't want to like live his life under, you know, security threat all the time, having a guard drive him and his wife out to dinner. So he said no to that. He drove himself around in a station wagon, and was pretty well known. And the two kidnappers, one was former law enforcement and his wife. They moved his newspaper down closer to the road that morning because he would come out of his house himself and grab his newspaper, and they moved it closer to the bottom of his driveway so that they could get him more easily. And they grabbed him one morning. And he did fight, and they shot him in the arm, and they got him into their getaway vehicle, and they put him in a box, it sounded like a casket almost, like a small box, shot, injured, and then put the box in storage. And I guess it got to like 120 degrees. It was a very hot time of year, and he died within 4 days. But they didn't tell the family that. They kept the ruse going for some 54 days, and it was an $18 million demand, and Exxon was going to pay it. Like they wanted their executive back, but they had no trouble with proof of life, you know. And there was a negotiation. Like there wasn't radio silence like this. They did know that their charge had died, but they were playing the ruse to the end. Here, there's been none of that. None of that. Like, Clay, it's like radio silence other than the weird Bitcoin thing that offered absolutely no proof of life. And so what's the end game of this person? It keeps leading me back to, this is about ending Nancy Guthrie. It's not about getting a ransom payment.
I hope
I agree.
I'm wrong.
And the way he's dressed, it's just very amateurish. Just does not look like a trained professional type of assassin. Who carries their pistol like that? It's just very just kind of thrown together.
That's interesting. Wait, Chad. So you're saying that like the way he has that pistol suggests to you this is like an amateur?
Unless he's just so professional, he's just trying to throw everyone off to make it look that way. But no, nobody straps a holster, to them like that. Now, granted, now if you're carrying concealed, I carry personally concealed, in my appendix area, but I wouldn't carry an open carry firearm like that, hook my holster to the front. That's just not a way someone carries. That's not a standard practice to carry a firearm at all.
Mm-hmm. Clearly, the guy was not worried about the neighbor seeing him, Maureen, with a ski mask on and his gun visible to all, with his gloves in the middle of a Tucson evening. Like he knew that these are acre size properties, and at 2:30 in the morning or 1:47, the odds were against people seeing him. But it's still pretty risky.
I don't think it's that risky.
No.
It's pitch black out. They have no street lights. They don't even, they even discourage people from turning their porch lights on because they all want to see the stars. It's pitch black. There's plenty of room. I do think you'd be, if you fired around, someone would hear it though. Even though you have an acre, because I've been to a place in Wisconsin a lot. I've spent a lot of time there, and you can hear when someone's firing a weapon within within an acre or two easily. But if you have a fan on in your room while you're sleeping, you won't hear anything.
Mm-hmm. There's been no reports of that whatsoever. Nothing about a possible shooting or hearing sounds of that. There were reports of increased coyote activity, but it was after the night that Nancy died. It was not, sorry, she didn't die. It disappeared. It wasn't that night. It was like several nights later. So, I mean, it could potentially be related, but I don't know if you've ever had coyotes around your house. It sounds god awful when they're mating. It really sounds like some sort of a mass murder is happening outside your door. Could wake up the whole neighborhood. Doesn't mean anything's happening to a human. International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There's a never-ending list of reasons gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years. And a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans
Let's bring in Morgan Wright, CEO and founder of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases. Morgan, thank you so much for being with us. 2 hours ago, this case looked like it was heading in the direction of an unsolved case. It looked like investigators were back to square one, and then suddenly this case has gained a tremendous amount of forward momentum.
Yeah, like with anything, I'd rather be lucky than good, and a lot of times you need luck to get a break in the case. So I was listening to everything your guests were saying; they're all spot on. I think one of the things we got to be careful of, though, as we start doing this, I think a lot of people are going to want to run with things and create theories about, well, he's probably this, probably that. The best thing we can do is keep very tightly constrained on what it is we know, and this video is the best source of truth we have right now. And the more I look at the video, the more I'm just looking at it as an investigator. If I was a detective reviewing video, I'm going, this is very nonchalant. This is not somebody who feels they're under time pressure. This is not somebody who feels like they have to do something at a certain time. So it makes it, not saying that that's the case, I don't want to say a theory, but it makes it less probable that this was targeted as opposed to opportunistic, which means that then that really affects what happens post-abduction and what they may have done with her. I don't think, if that's the case, that there was ever any design to do an abduction and for ransom. So this whole ransom communication was somebody who was opportunistic that took advantage of this, because this person does not appear to have the same sophistication as somebody who would be able to create a Bitcoin, send secure messages, make them hard to trace. So we've got a differing in skills is what it looks like.
Well,
this appears to be somebody who's done this before.
He could obviously be working with others too, and he could be the frontman. So we just don't know. But this is the picture, Morgan, I was pointing out, where his left hand is coming over the gun. while his right hand is doing something up at the camera. So, Morgan, since we last spoke, we've been able to play out some more new video that has come in from the FBI. What strikes you as you watch it, some of the new video, including the one where he first approaches the front door with his head down?
Yeah, that's what you're getting into right there, is that with the head down, it's obviously, if he's not aware, he's anticipating that there's going to be some kind of a doorbell camera, because almost everybody has those now. So he's attempting to mitigate the risk of exposure, of being identified. He is not concerned about running away. This appears to be, and to your points too, the infrared reaches out. That's why you see the flash. What's very interesting, and we need more analysis of this, but are there anything like what they call teeth grills, anything metallic in the mouth that would create that flash? I don't think there's any kind of a flashlight. If he had a flashlight, it creates a different artifact in terms of the video, in terms of what you see when you analyze video. It creates a different illumination and reacts to the light too. So I don't think that he's at least overtly showing any kind of illumination device, whether it's a flashlight or an iPhone or something like that. I think the more from a behavior standpoint you look at and you say, now can we start approximating an age? Can we start approximating a build, potentially even ethnicity? What might this person be? That's a little bit of a farther stretch, but I think we can get to height, weight, hair, eye color potentially, and facial features. I think one of the best things we're going to be able to do, depending on the tools FBI has, is to start peeling back the layers of that ski mask, to start saying, what can we determine about the bridge of the nose? What can we determine about the ears? Full head of hair? Maybe not. Again, the comments about the eyebrows. All of those things are going to be analyzed in detail. The only challenge you have, the limitations, you can't make the video any higher quality than what it is. You can't take a 1080p video and make it 3000. So all you have is all you have. But the things that they can do with it to enhance. So video, the gait, the analysis of the person, the age, all of those things are going to come into a factor. And for me, first thing I would start doing is going back and looking at all the video that we've captured from any of the other cameras and start saying, where have we seen this person before? Chances are they're going to be dressed the same way, wearing the same pants, wearing the same shoes, and maybe even carrying the backpack, because they don't expect to be caught. They don't expect to be identified. That's why they're wearing the mask and the gloves.
Right. So what else, Morgan, can you glean from this video in terms of shoes, the backpack? The articles of clothing.
FBI is able to overcome
I'm sure that it's an investigator's dream to have this much information
any
coming to you via these videos.
Was deposited.
Right now the FBI has tasked some of their people, their analysts, with identifying the shoes. I mean, I've testified in cases.
The 84-year-old was last seen in her home in Tucson Saturday night. The sheriff's department says they have not identified any sign.
FBI is able to overcome that if indeed any money was put in, any Bitcoin was deposited, or anything removed or shut down. We knew there was no money in that account, no value in the account, but $6 million in Bitcoin reportedly was requested.
But it's noteworthy that, TMZ and Harvey Levin, who you're talking about now, they had one of the first ransom notes was sent to them, and there was information about this Bitcoin account. But it's notable that these Bitcoin accounts, you can kind of generate another one in 10 to 12 minutes, sometimes 3 to 12 minutes, depending on who the person is opening the account. So it's not as if they were stuck with this one Bitcoin account, and if it went public and they knew that it was being watched, maybe there was a different Bitcoin account that was established because of it. Now, we're getting word tonight that Harvey Levin was on a different network talking about the fact that there is a little bit of activity happening with that account that was on their ransom note. Then, maybe there is still some connection there, but right now it's very muddy as far as how much that plays into what happened today.
Sorry, Trace, we actually have that clip with Harvey Levin. Let's watch.
About 12 minutes ago, we saw activity in that account.
Activity like what?
That's what I can't talk about. There are reasons I can't, but all I can say is there is now activity in that Bitcoin account.
Okay, again, we don't know anymore, and it leaves the public to speculate, but one would assume, Trace, that the FBI that's very familiar with assessing these Bitcoin wallets, given how prevalent their use are in criminal activity, that they've been on this, watching this like hawks from day one. The moment this thing dropped and this ransom note dropped asking for the $6 million with no proof of life, apparently, they were monitoring it.
Right.
I mean, AI monitor, whatever they needed to do.
That would be my guess. I mean, that's how this whole thing. I mean, they clearly had the same information that Harvey Levin had because they had access to the same notes. They had the same information. So yes, my guess would be that they are in that account in some capacity, looking for more information, trying to piece this whole thing together. I mean, something led these SWAT teams and the bomb squad and the command team to go southeast of Tucson, Arizona, right? Leaving the area for the first time in 9 days, moving for the first time in 9 days. Something led them back to Annie Guthrie's neighborhood. Something is kind of pushing the buttons here. And if all of a sudden you have activity in this Bitcoin account, you can say it's a coincidence, maybe somebody's kind of it seems like they have got more information and they need some of the final touches to be able to kind of put this whole puzzle together.
Trace, thank you so much. We'll check back with you as this moves on.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most.
The FBI has just released an actual video, and we're looking at it now. Ed and Jake, are you able to see what he's doing?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. So FBI Director Kash Patel just 2 minutes ago released new images. One of them is just another, two of them are images, still images of this assailant walking up to Nancy Guthrie's front door. But then the videos, one of them has him holding his glove over the Nest camera and then walking backward and and getting a tool or a rock.
No, it's not a tool.
What is he getting?
It looks like he goes back. He goes back out from the porch and grabs some shrubbery off the ground or grass
he's
or
grabbing
something.
shrubbery. Okay.
And it looks like he was trying to cover the.
Oh, he's trying
camera.
to block the Nest camera. Okay,
so it looks
I
like
see.
He's trying to.
And that's the second image, the second video, I should say, of him taking this shrubbery, these plants from the yard and trying to block the camera.
And so at some point he gives up on that and then just decides
to take the camera altogether. But while he was doing that, the camera was indeed recording, and because of the work the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff, working with the private sector, working presumably with the folks behind these Nest cameras, they were able to get this video. And we're almost 10 days into this missing persons case, but it is pretty impressive information that they were able to get.
I do wonder, Jake, as I'm watching this, we're all trying to figure out, is this someone who planned this deliberately? How long was this planned for? But this suggests to me, and people smarter than me can opine, but you would think you'd know that there was a camera there. Almost like he seems unprepared to cover it up. Like he seems to me like if you knew the camera was there, you would have brought something to cover it up, or you would have just knocked it off.
Or gone right to it. It does suggest, and you and I are not sleuths, but just as humans watching this, it does suggest a lack of familiarity with the security in the front porch.
But then the way he's dressed and covered up and clearly prepared, I mean, the gloves, I mean, there's not an ounce of skin. Clearly someone who's probably thinking, I don't need to drop any kind of DNA around this scene whatsoever.
Yeah,
so
although, as Brianna points out, if you zoom in on the close-up of the mouth in his face mask, it does seem as though there could be a mustache there. It's unclear. But let's bring in Josh Campbell, our colleague who used to work for the FBI. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but these images seem potentially very valuable. They are much more clear on this suspect than images we've seen related to the United Healthcare executive killing or the Charlie Kirk assassination. And both of those resulted in alleged murderers being captured. These seem even better in terms of the quality and in terms of what's revealed in the images.
Absolutely, and this shows you the advancement in this camera technology that's now available to just the average consumer at their homes. And as you mentioned, in other cases, we have seen where there's a suspect who maybe walks by a camera on a street, and then you get some type of image. Of course, what's so notable here is that the camera is at the front entryway of this home where this person is, appears to be attempting to be entering. So you get all these different views of this individual. The point that you gentlemen made just a second ago, I think, is spot on. When you see him coming up, I say him, the person, possible subject here, it looks like this person then goes and finds some type of foliage or plant or flower or something there, perhaps with the intention of trying to obscure that camera. We do know that the camera itself was eventually removed, and that is why authorities have been taking so much time in order to try to access this image. The FBI says that they were working with private sector companies. When information is deleted, that doesn't mean it just is completely gone. Oftentimes these computer analysts can go through and look in what's called the slack space of different hard drives, depending on where information might be backed up to, in order to try to resurrect some of that imagery. But you're spot on, Jake, that this is crystal clear. This is certainly much clearer than I think many of us were actually expecting. We do see some other things in this video as well. Obviously, the person appears to be trying to obscure not only their face, but you see the gloves that are on there. As I was mentioning earlier, again, there's a lot we don't know, but criminals these days are often smart in the sense that they don't want to leave it behind any type of DNA or fingerprints. And so that is the question here. Is that why this person is going through these lengths to try to shield this person's hair to ensure that no fingerprints actually make their way in? And then the last point I'll note, Jake, is that there's
that if indeed any money was put in, any Bitcoin was deposited, or anything removed or shut down. We knew there was no money in that account, no value in the account, but $6 million in Bitcoin reportedly was requested.
But it's noteworthy that, TMZ and Harvey Levin, who you're talking about now, they had one of the first ransom notes was sent to them, and there was information about this Bitcoin account. But it's notable that these Bitcoin accounts, you can kind of generate another one in 10 to 12 minutes, sometimes 3 to 12 minutes, depending on who the person is opening the account. So it's not as if they were stuck with this one Bitcoin account, and if it went public and they knew that it was being watched, maybe there was a different Bitcoin account that was established because of it. Now, we're getting word tonight that Harvey Levin was on a different network talking about the fact that there is a little bit of activity happening with that account that was on their ransom note. Then, maybe there is still some connection there, but right now it's very muddy as far as how much
Trace,
that plays into what happened today.
Sorry, Trace, we actually have that clip with Harvey Levin. Let's watch.
About 12 minutes ago, we saw activity in that account.
Activity like what?
That's what I can't talk about. There are reasons I can't, but all I can say is there is now activity in that Bitcoin account.
Okay, again, we don't know any more, and it leaves the public to speculate, but one would assume, Trace, that the FBI, that's very familiar.
Tonight, the first chilling images shedding light on what happened at Nancy Guthrie's house the night she was abducted. In this disturbing Nest camera surveillance footage released by the FBI today, you can see a masked person walk up to Nancy's front door and begin tampering with the camera around the time Nancy disappeared. The person has a gun holstered to their waist and is wearing gloves and a fully stuffed backpack. They then stop, turn around, and begin searching for something, eventually grabbing a handful of flowers from the yard, which they then use to block the view of the security camera as they disable it. This third video shows the person slightly hunched over as they walk up to the door.
This is the game changer we were waiting for, more than anything, more than ballistics, more than other types of cell phone data. This is the one. The video so often is what breaks the case open.
While none of the videos or images show the suspect's face, there are many defining features you can see that could help investigators and the public figure out who this person is. Here, there appears to be facial hair around the mouth, and here, distinctive shaped eyebrows showing through the eye holes of the mask. The person's clothes may also be a clue: light-colored running shoes, this zip-up jacket, and reflectors on the backpack. In this photo, the glare suggests there could be a flashlight in the person's mouth as they hold up those flowers in front of the camera. Since Nancy's disappearance 10 days ago, investigators have been working to recover any surveillance footage from her home, some of which the FBI says may have been lost, corrupted, or inaccessible due to a variety of factors, including the removal of recording devices. Today, the agency says by working with private sector partners, it was finally able to uncover these previously inaccessible new images.
Notice the way that someone's posture or the way they move, their hand gestures, all of that somebody has seen. This person has not gone their entire life never interacting with others. Family members, friends, colleagues, people that know him know who he is. They just have to report it.
That's exactly what the FBI and the Guthrie family are hoping for. Savannah posting the new images saying someone out there recognizes this person. We believe she is still out there. Bring her home.
And Liz joins us once again live from outside Nancy Guthrie's home. And Liz, investigators will be able to pull some real descriptive clues off that video.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. Experts say investigators are likely going to be able to approximate this person's height and weight based on how they look in the video compared to other objects like the bricks. You can also see the person's gait, the way they walk. All of these big clues giving much needed hope to the Guthrie family. Tom.
Liz Kreutz on what could be a break in this case. Liz, we thank you. All right, we want to really analyze those videos now. Joining us tonight, Tom Winter, our law enforcement correspondent, and Chief Justice contributor Jonathan Dean. So, Tom, what's going to stand out to investigators from these videos?
Yeah, Tom, so much to examine here for the FBI. They're going to look at what type of gun he has. Why does he have the gun out and easily accessible? You can see how he's holstering it in his front. And what is stuffed in that backpack? It's clear from the video which direction he approaches from, so the FBI can start to look for other video from that area. And investigators can also dig in on all the clothing. We've seen from past cases where they will look to all the major retailers, pull receipts, and then pull the video from the store to see who bought that backpack, or pull the email and IP address of the online purchaser and find out who the person is. There's a lot to sift through. They've been looking at it much longer than we have, Tom.
It's a good point. And Jonathan, what goes into the FBI's decision to come out publicly and release these videos? They want the public's help.
All right, Tom, we're told the Guthrie family could not offer any definitive lead about the masked gunman, so the FBI decided to go public. 10 days in, they hope this video can lead to a strong tip that can lead to Nancy and an arrest. The urgency to find her is paramount, so they decided it makes sense to put the video out there. But there are still questions like, was there a car the person may have used, and where is it now? Was this person alone, or did he have help? Investigators are also likely wondering the level of operation that this suspect had, since it appears he relied on the vegetation in Nancy's own yard to at first try to obscure the camera. Tom?
Jonathan and Tom, our thanks to you. Recovering that critical photographic and video evidence took 10 days. But how did the FBI do it when the camera apparently wasn't connected to the cloud? Here's NBC's Tom Costello.
Investigators had a big challenge, recovering the video from the Google Nest camera that had been taken and disconnected from the home's Wi-Fi. FBI Director Kash Patel said investigators worked with private companies, and the video was recovered from residual data located in back-end systems.
I imagine they've had them for the last 24 to 36 hours.
Tim Gallagher is the former special agent in charge of FBI New Jersey, who says investigators had to recover the images even though the camera wasn't connected to the cloud. If Nancy Guthrie wasn't paying for the cloud subscription, how did the FBI get the video off the feed?
Between the data getting to the server and the camera, there's stops in between, and there's going to be pieces of that data possibly that could be recovered. And from what it appears here, that's exactly what the FBI did.
Cybersecurity experts say the public really doesn't know what data tech companies are gathering without telling the public.
When you record data, it can actually show up in a couple of places. It can also be stored on a hard disk. It can be stored on the device itself. It can be stored in the cloud. It can be stored in a lot of places that sometimes are transient. So that is, they're stored there temporarily until something comes and flushes it away.
They were able to recover data from that, data that they thought was overwritten, and the bad guy may have thought was overwritten for life. The FBI can raise it back up.
Tom joins us now live. Tom, the FBI was able to pull those videos and those images. It shows just how sophisticated some of their programs are.
I think that's right. And of course, the main lab is at Quantico, Virginia. Cyber pros say the FBI may not want to fully reveal all of their tactics since they may use some of those techniques in espionage cases. Tom?
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app.
Breaking news, the chilling FBI video and images released tonight of the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. The images are chilling an armed, masked man at Nancy Guthrie's front door. The disturbing video showing the subject appearing in the entranceway there, slowly walking toward the front door, his face covered by a ski mask, wearing those gloves, carrying a backpack. Authorities say he was armed with a gun on his waistband. The man moving toward the camera right there, appearing to use one of his gloved hands to cover the camera lens, while his other hand, then it seems, tampers with the device too. He can then be seen moving back toward the walkway in front of the house, where he can be seen reaching down there, grabbing some loose brush. The video then shows him carrying it back to the front door, where he then appears to try to obscure the camera lens with it, trying to cover up that Nest Cam. Tonight, the FBI and local authorities going frame by frame through the video, hoping someone watching these images will recognize the way he walks, the way he moved toward that front door. Every moment of the video being closely scrutinized for possible clues. His glove to the camera there, another image showing him trying to block that Nest Cam. And this image tonight, retrieved from the camera, looking into the man's eyes. Savannah Guthrie's family was shown these images before they were made public. They did not recognize the man. Savannah tonight posting, "Someone out there recognizes this person," saying she believes her mother is still alive, saying, "Bring her home." Tonight here, frame by frame, what the video reveals and how the FBI was able to obtain these images so many days into this nightmare being lived by the Guthrie family. Our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, leading us off tonight from Tucson.
Tonight, for the first time, the FBI releasing chilling images and videos of a subject in the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. The video shows a masked man wearing gloves, a backpack, and with a weapon in his waistband approaching her front door. Authorities hoping the public will see the way this man walks, moves, his eyes, and that someone will recognize him. You can see the man with his hand in a glove trying to cover or block the lens on Nancy Guthrie's Nest Cam, using his other hand then to fiddle with the device. The man can be seen turning around and walking back to the arched entryway, looking down at the ground before grabbing brush. The subject, his eyes visible, walks back to the camera, appearing to tamper with it, trying to cover the lens. The images leave little doubt how terrifying it must have been for the 84-year-old grandmother with a masked figure, armed, showing up in the middle of the night. Authorities know every frame could hold clues that could lead to this subject's identity.
You can see his eyes. There's a possibility around his mouth that there's some facial hair.
You can get a lot of information now, not only off of the gloves and the front of the backpack, but also his height, his weight, that he may have had, the mustache, the color of his eyes, potentially. Even though it is black and white, they may be able to go with the hue of his eyes.
And today, Savannah Guthrie quickly sharing the new images from the FBI on Instagram, posting, "Someone out there recognizes this person." And of her mother, she says, "We believe she is still out there. Bring her home." Sources told ABC News the Guthrie family was shown these images before they were made public and did not recognize the man. Tonight, the FBI says, after working closely with our private sector partners to continue to recover any images or video footage from Nancy Guthrie's home that may have been lost, corrupted, or inaccessible due to a variety of factors, the video was recovered from residual data located in back-end systems. Nancy Guthrie had a Nest camera at her front door. That company's owned by Google. And although you can record in real time, Guthrie did not have a current subscription to access the images. Google said it was assisting the investigation. Nancy Guthrie was last seen 10 days ago now, Saturday, January 31st, when her family dropped her home just before 10 p.m. after dinner and game night at her daughter Annie's house. It's not clear when these new images were recorded, but investigators say the doorbell camera disconnected at 1:47 early Sunday morning, and about 40 minutes later, Nancy's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone. Investigators say DNA tests confirm the spots of blood found at the front door were Nancy Guthrie's, and you can see that camera is gone. Over the weekend, the FBI spotted on the roof of Guthrie's home inspecting a different camera.
Are they able to get further video from that camera that they found above the residence over the weekend? If they're able to get more video, hey, maybe we'll get a car, maybe we'll get a picture of Nancy leaving the residence.
Tonight, this major break in the case comes after 2 deadlines passed from someone who claimed to be Nancy Guthrie's abductor. NBC reporting they demanded $6 million in Bitcoin. It's unclear tonight if authorities believe the person behind those demands was really the abductor, but the family had no choice but to engage, pleading for proof that their mother was still alive. That proof of life never came.
Return our mother to us.
And then Savannah and her siblings trying to reach that potential abductor by saying, "We will pay." They never heard back.
This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Tonight, with those deadlines passed and this new major break in the case, Savannah Guthrie saying of her mother, "We believe she is still alive, and she's hoping some..."
It's the first major break in the abduction of Nancy Guthrie. Today, the FBI releasing these new images and videos of a possible suspect in the case.
The new images show a person wearing a mask and gloves appearing on Nancy's front porch in the middle of the night, trying to shield themselves from the doorbell camera with what looks like a gun in their waistband and a backpack full of something. Nancy's daughter, Savannah Guthrie, posting these images on social media saying, "We believe she's still out there." Thank you for joining us for 12 News at 4. I'm Troy Hayden.
And I'm Treya Mai. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is live in Tucson with the latest. And Gabriela, what are the FBI saying about this person?
Well, right now, Tram, the FBI says this person is a subject in connection to this case. The FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department have not yet identified a suspect or person of interest. But one of the very first things we noticed about Nancy's home when we got down here last Monday was that the doorbell camera was missing. The bracket is still on the wall, but the actual device is not there. And the sheriff's office told us that they had not been able to locate that camera. But now for the very first time, we're seeing what it captured just before it was disabled around 1:47 a.m. on February 1st, the night that Nancy disappeared. Let's take another look at those videos that the FBI shared this morning. They show a man walk up to Nancy's porch wearing a ski mask, a hoodie, light-colored pants, gloves, and gym shoes. He's also wearing a backpack that has reflectors on the strap and appears to be armed with a holster around his waist. Now, the man uses his hand to cover the top part of the camera where the lens is while trying to remove the device from the wall. At one point, he goes to grab flowers from Nancy's bushes to block the camera before moving it. The FBI was able to recover these videos from residual data located in back-end systems, they tell us. We know the doorbell camera at Nancy's house was disconnected at 1:47 a.m. on February 1st. And FBI Director Kash Patel says they've been working with private sector partners to recover any images from Nancy's home that may have been lost or corrupted. All of the videos that have been released so far appear to come from the doorbell camera only, but we know that she had multiple cameras located around the house. And a short time later that morning at 2:12 a.m., one of the cameras detected a person. That video has yet to be released if it has been recovered yet. But as you mentioned, Savannah Guthrie joined the FBI in sharing these very chilling photos and videos of this person on her mother's doorstep. She is pleading alongside the FBI that anyone who might recognize even the smallest detail to be able to identify this person to contact the FBI directly at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Live in Tucson, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
Gabriela, and obviously we know that it took 8 days to recover this video. Very difficult for law enforcement to sift through and really get to the approval to get this video. But I'm wondering, since this major break, have you seen much activity being in front of Nancy's house?
At Nancy's house, we have not. We've only seen the 2 deputies that have been staged here for the last couple days, just monitoring the home. We know there is activity happening beyond Nancy's house, though.
Breaking news out of Arizona, the FBI releasing chilling new photos and videos of a subject in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Images recovered from Nancy's home surveillance camera show a masked individual on the front porch. Now take a closer look at this video. You can see a person approach their front door and then cover the camera with a gloved hand. Now that person's also wearing a zip-up jacket and a backpack with a mask leaving just the eyes and mouth visible. A gun also appears to be in a holster in the middle of their waistband, the front part of their pants. You can also see this individual turn around and pull some plants from the yard. Now in the second video, you see the same person using the plants to try to cover the camera. Savannah Guthrie reposted these videos to social media, writing, quote, "Someone out there recognizes this person. We believe she is still out there. Bring her home." I want to bring in Kirk Burkhalter, a former NYPD detective and New York Law School criminal professor. Kirk, I know you've looked at this video many times. What stands out to you?
So a couple of things stand out. First of all, just generally speaking, the video is a bit of a game changer in that what we've seen with other videos when they're released nationally, someone knows this person, someone other than this person's associates who were interacting with them or may have assisted with them. The clothing is somewhat distinct, their gait and so forth. The other thing that jumps out is actually the holster. It's very odd. It's a generic holster, looks to be a generic holster as opposed to one that is designed specifically for that firearm. The individual is wearing it in the front as opposed to the side. You know, maybe someone who's not too familiar with a firearm. Even having a holster, why not just throw the gun in your pocket or something? So that's rather odd.
What about the choices in what this individual is wearing, specifically those gloves? It's hard to tell what they're made of, and they don't look like what you would normally think of professional criminal, those types of gloves that they'd be wearing. They're cumbersome.
Well, they look cumbersome. You know, the first choice would probably be some type of rubber gloves or the gloves you see folks wear when they're cooking, surgical gloves. I mean, those would kind of be the last type because it's difficult to manipulate smaller objects wearing those gloves. So that seems odd. And also that backpack seems rather full. And I'm just so curious as to what might have been in that backpack, you know, rope or some other type of materials to detain someone. What was this person anticipating doing? And not to mention taking the time to tie the backpack in the front. The entire video is quite odd, to be honest.
Now, apart from the physical characteristics, what else sticks out to you from this video that could point to a possible motive or familiarity with the victim or her home?
So motive is very difficult from this video to determine if this person actually had a motive. Certainly looks like perhaps they were anticipating someone being home. Why else would you bring or carry a weapon? Also, the fact they seem a little unprepared, you know, searching around for a plant or something to cover the actual doorbell camera. Their movements seem kind of slow. I would think, knowing that there's a surveillance camera, I would want to get in and out or get in and out of the view of the camera as quickly as possible. So that seems rather odd. So once again, a little bit difficult to discern a motive. However, certainly they anticipated perhaps meeting some resistance or meeting with someone inside.
I'm curious, seeing this video of the suspect, do you think it's possible this person acted alone when it came to abducting Nancy Guthrie, with the description of who she was as well? Mobility was difficult. Do you think another person had to be with this individual looking at that video?
It's certainly possible that this person acted alone because we don't see anyone else, right? So wouldn't it be easier to accomplish what this person was trying to do? Have one person hold their hand over the camera while the other person disables the camera and so forth. So it does tend to look like perhaps they were acting alone, hence carrying all the materials, whatever they are, in the large backpack, being armed. This seems like something that should have been more of a two-person job. So they very well could have been acting alone. There's no indicia that there's anyone else standing by. But that's certainly speculation.
How important, though, is this video now to this investigation when it comes to evidence, which up until now, we've only had a little bit of evidence, it sounds like, as in terms of physical evidence. We knew that the blood on the front porch was connected to Nancy Guthrie, and also a lot of it is from digital evidence from the apparent ransom notes sent to various news outlets. How important is this video right now?
Well, I think it's very important. First of all, just starting with something you mentioned, if you examine the video closely, blood is not visible in this video when you pan out and you're able to look at the porch. However, we do know blood was visible once the police arrived at the scene after what now certainly looks like an abduction. And further, it's important to the investigation because the person of interest now has a face, so to speak. In other words, we know they're not 7 feet tall, and we know they're not 4'11". So it narrows the field a bit. We know what they were wearing. If this clothing and the backpack and so forth were distinctive to a retailer in the area or distinctive to something that someone tends to wear, that's extremely helpful. And like I mentioned, someone out there knows this person. And someone out there is going to see this video and determine that, hey, this possibly looks like person X because they walk that way. They have that type of clothing. Just reminds me of that person. Those are very important leads.
I'm looking at it a little bit closer at that screenshot of this individual's face, and you can see their eyes, and you can see there's something reflective in their mouth. It's unclear if they're holding some sort of light or a flashlight. But how clear are these photos to you when you see them? Say, you know what, there's a lot of information in that photo.
Well, he's wearing a mask, so it's only going to be but so clear. There appears to be facial hair around the mouth, and I'm very cautious when I say appears to be. If you do, at the point where there may be a suspect in custody, certainly the authorities are going to compare that person's actual photo or what they actually look like to this photo. So, from my perspective, first and foremost, better than nothing. You might be able to narrow down, for instance, the race of this person. They tend to look like they have a lighter pigmentation than darker. That's huge. And we have millions of people in this country, so anything we can do to eliminate people is extremely helpful.
This reminds us often of a recent case that we were following very closely that had a similar timeline. We're now in the second week of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. We harken back to the search for Luigi Mangione during that, and we remember it went days without a lot of evidence, and all of a sudden we saw this picture, this very distinctive picture of an individual with very distinctive eyebrows.
Yes.
And then the investigation sped up. Are you seeing similar patterns with this particular case?
Certainly there are some similarities. I mean, if you recall, I believe it was a worker at McDonald's that said they recognized the eyebrows of this person. They were quite distinct. So there are certainly similarities in that this is the world we now live in, where digital images are captured quite often. The first thing that many of us were saying was, wow, this poor woman lived in an area where there were not many cameras and so forth. Very difficult in this day and age to travel around without your image being captured digitally. And that really sped up that investigation. So the hope here is that would speed up the investigation here and enable the authorities to find Nancy Guthrie.
I'm curious if you think, looking at that video too, the different choices or maybe even slight mistakes that this individual made, how that would lead authorities to believe that other mistakes have been made along the way.
Oh, certainly. And, from the beginning, well, I won't say from the beginning, but at some point over the course of the last week, I have felt that if I had to guess, this is someone who perhaps hasn't done this before, or they have not fully planned out what they were going to do here. There seems to be a lack of a complete plan of action. Who are you going to contact? When are you going to contact them? How are you going to contact them? How are they going to get you whatever it is you're asking for? What are you going to do? with the person that you abduct. Where are you going to hold them? How are you going to gain access to the property? You know, you mentioned kind of like pros, but a person who has done this before would think these things out. And I think that this seems a little ad hoc in many different ways as we see this person kind of fussing around in front of the camera.
A really important part of this whole story, Kirk, has been the social media posts by both Savannah Guthrie and her two other siblings. And then last night, Savannah posting a video of just her pleading to the public for help. How important have those social media posts been to this investigation, do you think?
Well, I think that it has kept this case active in the mind of the public. As soon as the Guthries posted the video of this doorbell cam, not that these folks are trying to be amateur sleuths or whatever the case, but you saw on X different comments. Hey, does anybody recognize the backpack, the reflective portions of the backpack, this or that or that? What about facial recognition software and so forth? So it just means that the public has been very active in thinking about this abduction and keeping this at the forefront of the news and the media so folks can think about it. Law enforcement operates best when they partner with civilians, when they partner with the public. They don't work best when they are in a vacuum. So anything you can do to inspire that partnership in an investigation is always going to be helpful.
Yeah, this story has certainly captivated the entire world. Kirk Burkhalter, thank you so much for that insight.
My pleasure.